Hey everyone, we got a new project. So I've been talking with TMC for a little while now. And those of you that have been watching the channel for some time, especially over on TikTok and other socials, you know that I've been talking about doing a nano reef for quite some time. I've been keeping tropical fish and shrimp for around about 12 years, and I've never delved into marine. And it's something, especially since seeing the sexy shrimp and just the amazing colours of corals, it's always been something that I wanted to do. And now it's finally happening. So big thank you to TMC, because they have supplied us with the First Wave 78 litre tank for this project, and also the heater that comes with it. And I'm super excited to do this. I don't know what else to say, so let's just open the box and see what's in there. It's not quite Christmas yet, but it feels like it is today. Okay, that is quite a lot heavier than I anticipated. We'll come back in a second. It's out of the box. Apparently I should go back to the gym and stop spending so much time doing fish stuff, because that felt heavy. So, good to see everything's packaged really nicely with this as well. Let's get all of that out of the way. This tank is an all-in-one marine tank. So it comes with all of your filtration and your lighting as part of the tank itself. It comes with a protein skimmer as well. And TMC have also sent us the heater for this, so that we've got everything we need to get up and running. This is gorgeous. I can't wait to set this up. I've never done marine before, so I think I will read the instructions. So this is cool. We've got a big sponge here, and your media goes inside these two cutouts for it. This is going to be super simple to set up. And I like the fact that they have made it almost foolproof, because, like I said, freshwater, tropical setups, any day. Marine, I want to make sure I get everything right. I don't want to mess anything up with this. So that slots straight into here. And has he put it the wrong way around already? Probably. No, I don't think so. There we go. And then this pad goes on top of there. Okay, now we've got the protein skimmer. Come on, read the instructions properly, Em. That goes that way round. We got the skimmer in there. And it was relatively easy. I was just being clumsy when trying to get it all in. Now, one thing that I just want to talk about real quick. So all of the power is literally one plug. It splits into three, and that powers your protein skimmer, your pump, and your lights. And I think that is a wicked feature. That's everything in the back part of the tank. So your skimmer, your pump, and all of the wires running back out, so we can hook that up later. Next thing is we're going to want to start setting this tank up with our live rock and our live substrate. Now, you can do this step with dry rock and just usual substrate, but this is going to help us jumpstart that cycle a little bit quicker. Now, live rock and live substrate can be a little bit pricier. I appreciate marine can be quite expensive anyway, and there are going to be some of us out there that don't mind waiting that little bit longer to get everything going. So I took a trip down to the Taunton Aquarium Centre today to get all of the other bits that we need to set this tank up. Having been a freshwater keeper for the entire time I've been in the hobby, I'm so guilty of having overlooked all of the marine sections every time I went into stores, because it just wasn't what I was doing at the time. And I'd never been to a dedicated marine store either. When I walked into Taunton Aquarium Centre and saw these dazzling corals as soon as I walked in through the door, it was mesmerising. I can't believe what I've been missing out on this entire time. All of the different cool species of invertebrates, different fish, and all of their striking patterns and colours. I don't know what took me so long to even get into this. Here is the live sand that we were talking about. Now, basically, this has got all of your bacteria in it already, and it's going to give you that, not instant cycling, but it's going to give you a really big jump start to that. And then also, as I previously said, we are going to be going with live rock. Now, live rock, it's going to have some of that really nice. Anyone out there who's a marine keeper, you're going to shoot me when I say this. I'm really new to this, so I do apologise. It's like purple algae, and I haven't learned the right term for it yet, but from what I understand, that's what everyone is looking for, is this nice purple covering on their marine rock. Now, with live rock, you get a head start on that. If you were to use just your typical white rock that's been dry, then you'll go through a stage where it goes really green with algae, and maybe you get brownness to it with diatoms and other things too. So live rock's just going to take us that little step further ahead into getting all of this set up and cycled. We got some lovely pieces in there. I already tried out a little bit of what the rockwork. I don't want to call it an aquascape. I'm not really sure what the marine term is for that either. I know the formation that I want to try and achieve. How well this is going to go now that I've taken it down from when I made it in the shop, we'll see how it goes. I've just got all the rock into the tank, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I haven't even put it on the rack yet. So I'm going to take it all back out. I'm then going to put it on the rack, which, again, another step ahead of myself. I haven't even moved the rice fish yet. We got the tank on the rack. I did quickly fill the tank up just to test that everything was working. So I wanted to make sure the protein skimmer and the pump and everything was working, make sure the tank wasn't leaking, and that everything was okay. And that will mean that our live rock had a chance to be soaked, have a running tank over it again, and make sure that we're not going to lose what makes it live rock. So now I'm going to have an hour or so to be able to work on this rock structure, which is what we're going to get into now. We're going to want to make sure that we leave room around all of the rock to clean every surface in the tank. So it's not going to be right up to the edges. When I was in the store, there were two pieces, and I'm hoping I can find them again. There were two pieces that joined together really well, and I want to say it was these two pieces. I found the piece that goes with that one, and we've used some reef cement to bond that together. Now, what we do first, and Mark down at Taunton Aquarium Centre gave me a little tip on this. He said, get your rocks together, find the position you like them in, and then take some hardscape glue, and at the contact points, just apply a little bit of that, and then come in behind that with some reef cement. Now, reef cement, it really literally is like cement. It's not the easiest thing in the world to use. So I am going to try and show you on this piece here. So we've got these contact points. So I'm going to take the glue, get a little bit there, and a little bit there. And then we're going to chase that with the cement itself. You're going to be conscious that it's going to be looking not so pretty when it goes on there. However, once you've got these corals and everything on, you're probably not going to see a lot of these parts anyway. So just get what you can in there, pack it out. You can always take the excess off, just scrape the excess bits off just afterwards. But just make sure there's a good amount on there. Is what I'm finding is making me successful. If I try to go with too little, then it's not really having the effect that I want it to. And I think it does say that this will bond within 2 minutes. Now, I haven't been finding it's been quite 2 minutes. But at this point, I'm more concerned about all of this just holding together, because we can just make sure that when it comes to when it comes to placing corals into this tank, we can get them on all these joints, and you're not even going to realise that these uglier bits are there. Now, on this piece here, there's quite a long part where I've had to bond it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, which happens to fit almost perfectly. Let's give it a little bit of a move around. I think that was it there. So that's a lot of contact points there. And what we'll do is we'll secure this, and that will hopefully reinforce this one part here where these two are joined by having a third piece interlocking all of those. That bit definitely looked a bit too wet, but we're just going to try and make do. Hopefully it will set anyway. we finally got all of the rock formation in there, and I'm really happy with how it's gone now. But here's the honest truth behind what we've just been doing for what probably looked like maybe 30 or so minutes to you, but was actually nearly an entire day for me. This is the point where I'm going to tell you, do not underestimate marine. Plan ahead, plan really well. This part took me so long trying to get the reef cement to work properly. Again, that's probably some user error on my part. But with this being live rock, I was then having the thoughts of, hang on, I can't let this dry out too much, and I need to keep having water running through it. Poor planning on my part, but we got there. And again, that's one of the whole points of this video, is I will make the mistakes and clumsily put this tank together so that you guys know what you're in store for if you do it yourself. Next thing, let's get that live sand in there, and then we can fill it up for the last time, hopefully. This live sand we're using, it's not dry, so I'm not going to be able to just pour it in. As you can see, it is quite wet already. So it will be easier for us to get it in there, open it in the water, and then it should all just spread out. Now, a little bit of advice I was given was to have your rock in first, just in case you ever end up with anything in the aquarium that could potentially burrow into the sand and underneath the rock structures, because it could cause your rock to move. I know I'm going to make a mess because, let's be honest, I always do. That's part of the fun, right? Apart from cleaning it up afterwards. And that definitely shifted all my rock. But it's okay, we'll sort that out. I'd love to show you a really glitzy, glammy video where everything goes in real nice. None of it's messy, no murky water. But that's just not how it is a lot of the time. We all know that. Somebody will probably tell me that I should have definitely not had so much water in here when I did this. But there's more than one way to skin a cat, and we should end up with the same result anyway. Now, I will say, this is advertised as no waiting, just add fish, instant cycling. Just as a precaution, I would always still want to make sure that I'm letting the tank cycle just to make sure. The tank's cleared up really nice. We're at the end of the second week now, so we're going to do some testing to see if it's ready to get anything in here. I do want to get some livestock in just to help us keep that cycle ticking over properly. I have been ghost feeding up until now, so a couple of pellets every day or so, just to make sure that as it breaks down, it's feeding ammonia to the cycle. For anyone that maybe didn't see the early part of the video or has skipped ahead to here, we did use live rock and live substrate. So yes, it's only been 2 weeks, but we had a big head start. Ammonia and nitrite, we're reading nothing at all. And I'm not sure if you can really see it on the camera, but this has an ever so slight pink tinge to it. Meaning we're probably around about here. So everything's good in the tank. It's the next day. We've popped out today to grab a small fish and a few other bits just to keep the cycle ticking over whilst we wait for coral. These have been floating in the tank for about an hour. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to pop them back out. We're going to remove as much of that water as possible, put them in a container and drip acclimate them to the new tank. So these guys are drip acclimating now. Whilst we do that though, I do have one other thing that we got today that we're going to be adding to the tank too. So let's quickly have a look. Pop the feather dusters in with the acclimating hermit crab and the royal damsel. Now, when I popped them into the smaller container they were in to inspect them, I just wanted to make sure there was nothing hitchhiking, and I'm glad I did it. Attached to one of these feather dusters was a disused tube. There was no worm in there anymore. And when I was inspecting them in the container, I actually noticed that there was a bristleworm in there, in the disused tube, and also attached to it was what looked like aptasia. I took them out of that water after removing all of these bits from them and popped them into this container to make sure that no spores or anything for the aptasia came along with. So we've done our best to make sure that none of those pests or critters come along with them. And now we are going to add these guys into the tank. For anyone that was wondering why we drip acclimate, it's purely because we don't want to shock the livestock that we're adding in. By dripping in water, one drop every second or so, you are very, very slowly acclimatizing the fish to their new parameters. And it's mainly things like your salinity and your pH. If you were to just dunk the livestock straight in, chances are they could go into shock and you could lose them. So it's always best practice to drip acclimate anything going into your marine tank. I think I'm going to add the feather dusters first. I haven't really thought about where to put these. Maybe around here somewhere. I think they look pretty cool. And I guess we could probably move these at some point if we wanted to. I'm not sure if they might even maybe move themselves, considering they are a worm. I suppose if at some point they wanted to abandon the tube they're in and build another one, they probably will do. Quite cool that we got two slightly different coloured ones there as well. Next up, I want to pop the little hermit crab in. So I'm just going to gently place him down in here. And he definitely tried to pincer me then. Hopefully he can right himself, otherwise I'll have to go back in to help flick him over. Okay, thankfully hermit crabs can right themselves. I was feeling a little bit guilty then, but he did try and nip me, so his not so easy landing definitely was his own fault. And then last but not least, we're going to add the damsel in. Couldn't have chosen a bigger container if I tried. So just as I was adding the damsel in, the gimbal that I use for filming, if some of you have been watching my channel for a while, you will understand the reference limp gimbal. It is an absolute bane of my filming. So I definitely need to invest in some better equipment to make sure it doesn't keep happening. But the royal damsel's in and wandering around the tank, having a look. Now, because we've just added some livestock in, I am going to dose the tank with a little bit of Optimus and Satis. So just to help the filter become accustomed to the slightly larger bioload that it will now have. And also, if there is, for any reason, these sort of ammonia spikes, the Optimus will help settle that. This is Aptasia. It's a pest, I believe, an enemy. It's something that you don't really want to have. It can sting all of your nice corals and it can get a foothold in your tank, kind of take over. I've messaged Mark at Taunton Aquarium Centre, asked him what the best course of action would be, and he's suggested that I get a peppermint shrimp. So we're going to head on over to Taunton Aquarium Centre and go and grab one now. So here we are at Taunton Aquarium Centre. This is their lovely selection of invertebrates. You can see some really cool ones there. Some cleaner shrimp. Not sure what all of them are. Pretty sure some of those are fire shrimp as well. But we are looking for a peppermint shrimp because they will eat Aptasia, which is exactly what we're looking for. And then hopefully it means we don't have to keep dosing sort of medicines and chemicals into the tank. These shrimp will just, whenever they pop up, have a meal of them. So that's the peppermint shrimp, all bagged up and ready to go. I did also end up getting a turbo snail while I was here. So the tank's been going for, I think we're on week 5 or 6 now. And you can see we're starting to get a lot of green algae. But remember I was saying earlier on in the video, I couldn't remember the name for the purple algae. Well, it's coralline algae. And we're starting to get some new growth as well. So that's perfect. But along with this green algae, we are getting lots of little short bits of hair algae. So I've decided to add some more members to the cleanup crew. So we grabbed a couple more hermits. I've also got an emerald crab and another turbo snail, which is just in here. It's been a few days since we added those new members of the cleanup crew in, and we've been having a bit of an issue with our dotty back. So the strawberry dotty back that we had actually started to get a little bit aggressive towards everything. It even went after the emerald crab and some of the hermits too, and it's been giving our damsel a hard time. Now, I did say that this video would probably be a lot of me making mistakes so that you guys don't have to. And I would say this is probably one of my first major mistakes, is that I didn't look into the type of dotty back that I had bought. So I had gone for a strawberry, or sometimes known as a magenta dotty back. And it turns out they're probably the most aggressive of the bunch, and they can be quite territorial. As for other dotty backs, they tend to be a bit more relaxed and peaceful. But the one that I got was just giving everything hell in that tank. What I then soon came to learn, when I realised I was going to take it back to the store because I didn't want it to kill everything in the tank, was that live rock is really good for fish that want to hide. There's loads of nooks and crannies and crevices for them to get into. And what I actually ended up having to do was take 75% of the rock formation out just to get that one fish out. So my takeaway from that is, anytime you're adding another fish, really do your research on it. Maybe don't even just take the person you're buying it from's word for it, or the store's word for it. Do your own research too, and read some forums or other bits just to make sure that it is going to work, because I can tell you now that rock formation's definitely not exactly how it was before I took it out. Now, what we replaced the dotty back with, as I'm sure you probably saw in the last shot, is a firefish. These guys are a lot more shy and a lot more peaceful. And so far, the damsel's getting on really well with it too. And there's been no sort of aggression issues, so I'm happy. The firefish seems happy, the damsel seems happy. None of the crabs or shrimp or anything are getting bothered. So I think this was a much better choice than the strawberry dotty back. And I now know for future to not make the same mistake of generalizing the type of fish rather than looking at the specific morphs and characteristics of those morphs. I've also gone ahead and added a couple of hardy soft corals, and that's just to test that everything in the tank is ready for soft corals. So we've got one here called Pulsing Xenia, and you can see the polyps open and close, and it's just a really fascinating coral to watch. And then we've also gone ahead and picked up some zoas. Now, both of these are pretty quick growing corals, and they can take over a whole area of rockwork fairly fast, and you might even say that they're a little bit invasive. So what I've done is I've isolated them to their own rocks to make sure that we don't have that issue. So that brings us to the end of part one. Now, I know we didn't touch on the corals, but that's going to be in part two. We're going to be talking about coral dipping and the different types of coral that there are, how they act in the tank. And we've got a special shipment coming from Coral Vault UK. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get and getting those all in the tank and sharing that with you. I hope you've enjoyed this first part and learned a little bit along with me. Like I said, the whole idea was that I'll make any mistakes so that you don't have to. But that's it from me. I'll leave you with a couple of clips of the tank, and I'll see you in the next one.